Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Mr. English Lab, the place where your English grows, one story at a time. Today, the noise of life. Have you ever felt like the world is just too loud? Like every sound, every message, every screen is trying to pull your attention all at once? Daniel felt that every single day. He would wake up with the sound of his phone. Bing. Buzz. Ring. Messages, reminders, notifications, all shouting his name before the sun even rose. Sometimes, he didn't even open his eyes before his hand reached for his phone. He didn't look outside his window. He didn't notice the quiet light of the morning. He only saw blue light, the glow of the screen, the start of another noisy day. His mornings were always the same. Coffee. News. Emails. More news. He was always in a hurry, but he didn't really know why. He wasn't late for anything. He wasn't meeting anyone. But something inside him always whispered, "Hurry, hurry." The city outside matched his rhythm, cars, voices, music from shops, and endless footsteps on the street. Everyone seemed to be running somewhere, chasing something. Daniel didn't want to fall behind. So he ran too. But deep down, there was a quiet voice, small and soft, that sometimes tried to speak. It said, "Stop. Slow down. Look around." Yet every time that voice came, Daniel pushed it away. He said, "Later. I'll slow down later." He told himself he was happy. He had a job, he had a phone, he had followers, he had noise. Yes, noise, the kind of noise that makes you feel busy, even when your heart feels empty. One morning, as he walked to work, he saw an old man sitting on a bench. The man wasn't doing anything, just sitting quietly, watching the birds. Daniel walked past him, thinking, what a waste of time. But for a moment, just a short moment, he felt jealous. Jealous of the calm. Jealous of the stillness. Jealous of the peace on that man's face. He quickly shook off the feeling and kept walking faster. He told himself again, no time to stop. But when he reached the office, he didn't remember the color of the sky. He didn't remember if the trees were green or yellow that morning. He didn't even remember what song played in his earphones. His mind was full, but his heart was empty. At lunch, his friend Mia sat across from him. She looked tired too. She said, "Daniel, don't you ever feel like life is just too much?" He smiled, pretending not to understand. He said, "Nah, I'm fine. That's life. We all have to keep moving." But deep down, her question stayed with him. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He turned off the light, but his mind was still running through emails, numbers, likes, plans, and worries. It was like his thoughts were a crowd shouting at him in the dark. He turned on some music to block the noise, but the noise was inside him now. It wasn't outside. It was his own voice, the voice that never stopped talking. The voice that said, "You should be better. You should have more. You should do more." And then, in the middle of the night, something strange happened. The power went out. The music stopped. The lights went dark. The world became silent. For the first time in a very long time, Daniel heard nothing. No sound. No music. No messages. Just silence. At first, he didn't like it. It felt strange, almost scary. But as the minutes passed, he started to breathe slower. He could hear his own breath, calm and deep. He could hear the soft sound of the wind through his window. And he realized something. He realized that the silence was not empty. It was peaceful. It was alive. It was real. Daniel sat up on his bed, looking out the window. The city was dark, but he could see the moon, bright and full, like it was watching him. He whispered softly, "When did I stop noticing this?" That night, Daniel didn't sleep much. But for the first time in years, his heart felt quiet. He didn't know it yet, but that silence was the beginning of a journey that would change how he saw the world, and help him discover what really matters. Running without a reason. The next morning, the city lights were back, and so was the noise. Cars. Horns. Phones. Voices. Everything was exactly the same. But somehow, for Daniel, something felt different. Very small, but different. He remembered the silence from last night. It was still somewhere inside him, like a soft echo he couldn't forget. He got ready for work as usual, shower, shirt, coffee, phone. But when he looked in the mirror, he paused. His eyes looked tired. Not just sleepy, tired in a deeper way. He didn't know how long they had looked like that. Maybe for years. He brushed the thought away and stepped outside. The air was cold and sharp. People were walking fast, heads down, eyes on their screens. Daniel joined them, walking quickly too, almost running. Everyone seemed to be in a race, but no one knew where the finish line was. At the bus stop, he checked his phone again. Messages from work. News headlines. A new sale. A new celebrity story. A friend's photo with a perfect smile. He scrolled and scrolled. He didn't even notice the bus arriving until the doors opened with a loud click. On the bus, he sat by the window, but he didn't look outside. His mind was somewhere else, thinking about deadlines, meetings, goals. He didn't notice the small boy sitting next to him, watching the world through the glass. The boy smiled at every bird that flew by. He pointed at clouds, whispering shapes to his mother. Daniel didn't notice. He was too busy typing another email that could have waited. When he reached the office, his boss was already there. "Daniel," she said, "I need the report by 2 p.m. today." He nodded quickly. "Of course," she added, "and don't forget the presentation for tomorrow." He smiled again, pretending to be confident. "Got it." But inside, his stomach turned with stress. The day passed in a blur of screens and sounds, typing, clicking, ringing, talking. Lunch came and went. The clock moved, but Daniel didn't really feel time. He was running through tasks, messages, and meetings like a machine. Every few minutes, he'd check his phone again, not for work, but for something else. Something he couldn't explain. Maybe he was searching for a feeling, happiness, peace, or maybe just meaning. At 6 p.m., he finally closed his laptop. His head hurt, his eyes burned, and his back ached. He looked around the office, people still typing, still rushing, still not looking at each other. He wondered quietly, why are we all in such a hurry? But he didn't say it out loud. When he left the building, the sky was already dark. He realized he hadn't seen the sun all day. He had missed the morning light, the afternoon warmth, and the evening colors. He had been inside all day living, but not really living. He stopped at a small shop to buy dinner, a sandwich, a drink, something quick. The shopkeeper, an old woman, smiled and said, "You look tired, young man." "Long day." Daniel gave a small laugh. "Yeah, always." She said, "You should take a walk sometime. It helps." He nodded politely, but he didn't really listen. He just wanted to go home and rest, or at least that's what he told himself. At home, he turned on the TV. Then he opened his laptop. Then his phone. 3 screens. 3 lights. 3 ways to escape silence. He started eating his sandwich, not tasting it, just chewing as his eyes moved from one screen to another. A message popped up from Mia. "Hey, remember what I said yesterday? About life being too much?" I really meant it. He looked at the message, thought about replying, but then sighed and put the phone face down. He didn't know what to say. As the night went on, the noise grew again, not from outside, but from inside. His thoughts, his doubts, his endless questions. He tried to drown them with more music, more scrolling, more everything. But no matter what he did, that quiet voice from before, that voice from the silent night, came back again. It whispered softly, "Daniel, what are you running from?" He turned off the music, but the question stayed. It stayed in his head as he brushed his teeth. It stayed as he lay in bed. And when he finally closed his eyes, he saw something, a memory. It was him as a little boy, running through a field, barefoot, laughing. No phone, no noise, no rush. Just the sound of the wind and the feeling of freedom. He smiled in his sleep for the first time in a long time. Maybe that's what he had been missing. Not success, not speed, just the simple joy of being alive. The missed moments. The next morning, Daniel woke up feeling heavy, as if he had carried all his worries into his dreams. He sat on the edge of his bed and rubbed his eyes. His phone was already buzzing, messages, reminders, a new update, a missed call. But for the first time in a long time, he didn't pick it up right away. He just sat there, letting the room stay quiet for one extra moment. One small moment. But even that felt unusual, almost uncomfortable. He whispered to himself, I don't even remember the last time I sat quietly. He finally grabbed his phone and checked the time. He was late. Or at least he felt late, even though nothing urgent was waiting for him. Still, his body moved fast because that's what he had taught it to do. Rush. Hurry. Run. As he walked to work, he saw something he had passed many times but never really noticed. A small tree just outside his building. Its leaves were turning yellow, slowly falling to the ground. It was beautiful, simple, calm, gentle. He had walked past that tree every day for years, but today was the first time he actually saw it. He stopped for a moment without meaning to. Just looking. Just breathing. It felt strange, like he was seeing the world in a new way. But then the noise returned. Someone bumped into him. A car horn sounded loud in the street. His phone vibrated sharply in his hand. And just like that, the moment was gone. Inside the office, things were the same as always, fast, loud, and full of pressure. But Daniel wasn't the same. Not completely. Something inside him had started to shift. He noticed things he never looked at before. Like the tired face of the receptionist, who always smiled even when she looked exhausted. Like the way his coworker, James, sighed every time he opened another email. Like how no one ever asked, "How are you really?" Everyone was pretending. Everyone was performing. Everyone was tired. At lunch, Daniel sat by the window, a rare thing for him. He watched people walking outside, parents holding their kids' hands, friends laughing together, an elderly couple sharing a small meal. He watched them like someone watching a movie, wondering how he had missed all of this for so long. Mia sat down next to him. She looked at him carefully and said, "You seem quiet today." He answered softly, "Just thinking." "About what?" she asked. He looked outside again. "About everything. Maybe about nothing. I don't know." Mia nodded slowly. "Sometimes," she said, "thinking is a sign you're finally awake." Daniel didn't know what she meant yet, but her words stayed with him. After work, Daniel decided not to take the bus. He walked home instead. Something inside him wanted to slow down, even if he didn't understand why. The evening air was cool, and the sky was painted with soft colors, orange, pink, purple. He looked up and realized he hadn't watched a sunset in years. Not because he didn't like sunsets, but because he had never given himself the time. As he walked, he passed a small park. He saw children running on the grass, laughing loudly. Their happiness was simple, no phones, no pressure, no noise of the world. Just joy. Just life. Just the moment. He walked further and saw a young woman taking pictures of the sky. She wasn't taking them for likes or comments. She was alone. Just enjoying the beauty. Daniel wondered, when did the world become something I only look at through screens? He kept walking until he reached a corner where a man was playing a violin. The music was soft and full of emotion. It wrapped around the street like a warm blanket. People passed by without stopping. Some dropped coins. Most didn't even look. But Daniel stopped. He closed his eyes and listened. Really listened. For a moment, the entire world faded, and only the music existed. He felt something inside him, something deep and fragile. A feeling he hadn't touched in a very long time. The violinist finished his song and smiled at Daniel. Daniel gave a small smile back. It was a quiet exchange, but it meant something, even if only for a second. When he finally reached home, he didn't turn on the TV. He didn't open his laptop. He didn't look at his phone. He just sat by the window, watching the streetlights turn on one by one. Cars passed. People talked. But for once, Daniel felt still. He whispered to himself, "How many moments have I missed?" He didn't know the answer. He only knew one thing: somewhere between the noise and the rush, he had lost parts of his life without even noticing. And now, for the first time, he wanted to find them again. The stranger on the train. The next day, Daniel decided to take the train instead of the bus. He didn't know why. Maybe he wanted a change. Maybe he wanted a slower morning. Maybe, deep inside, he hoped something different might happen. When he stepped inside the train, it was almost full. People were sitting close together, but everyone was far apart in their own little worlds. Headphones. Phones. Laptops. No one looked up. Not even once. Daniel found a seat near the window. He sat down, tired but curious. The train started moving with a soft shake, and the city slowly passed by outside buildings, trees, small shops, people walking. For the first time in years, he watched it all with open eyes. Not through a screen. Not through a plan. Just watching. Just being. A few minutes later, a man sat down next to him. He looked old, maybe 70 or more. He wore a simple coat, and his hands were a little shaky. But his eyes were calm. Peaceful. Like he knew something the rest of the world had forgotten. He smiled at Daniel. A real smile, warm and slow, not rushed or polite. Daniel smiled back, unsure why. Maybe because it felt human. For a few moments, they said nothing. Just the train moving. Just silence between two strangers. But it was not uncomfortable. It was gentle. Finally, the old man spoke. "Busy morning?" he asked. Daniel gave a small laugh. "Yeah, like always." The old man nodded slowly. "Everyone is busy these days. But not everyone is living." Daniel looked at him, surprised by the words. "What do you mean?" The man folded his hands on his lap. "When I was young," he said, "I believed life was about running. Running for money. Running for success. Running for everything the world told me I needed." Daniel listened carefully. It felt like the old man was talking directly to his heart. But the man continued, "One day I realized something important. The faster I ran, the more I missed. I missed small things. Simple things. Beautiful things." Daniel swallowed, feeling something heavy inside him, something he recognized too well. He asked quietly, "What did you miss?" The old man looked out the window as the world passed by. "I missed afternoons with my children. I missed talking with my wife without looking at the clock. I missed sunsets, dinners, quiet mornings, and the sound of my own breath. I missed life because I was always somewhere else." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He thought about the missed sunsets, the ignored messages, the quiet moments he ran away from. He saw himself in the old man's story too clearly. The old man looked at him again and said, "You know, young man, life doesn't ask you to be perfect. It doesn't ask you to be the best. It only asks one small thing, that you show up." Daniel blinked slowly. "Show up?" "Yes," the man said softly. "Show up for the moment you're in. Show up for the people around you. Show up for yourself. Don't live in a rush. Live in the moment. Because the moment is where life happens. The train slowed as it approached the next station. People stood up, ready to run into their busy day again. But Daniel stayed still, thinking, feeling, breathing. The old man stood up too, holding onto the rail. Before he stepped off, he placed a gentle hand on Daniel's shoulder. "Remember," he said, "the world is noisy, but your heart knows the truth. Listen to it sometimes." And then he was gone. Just like that. A stranger. A short conversation. But it felt like something inside Daniel had been touched, shaken, awakened. He sat there for a long moment after the doors closed. The train moved again, but Daniel stayed still, holding the man's words in his chest like a small spark of light. As the train rolled forward, Daniel whispered to himself, "Show up, for the moment." He didn't know it yet, but this simple conversation was the beginning of a change, a quiet, powerful shift in the way he would see the world. The noise of life was still around him, but for the first time, he felt something new rising inside, the desire to truly live, to truly notice, to truly be present. And this feeling was only the beginning. A message from the past. That evening, Daniel returned home earlier than usual. He didn't know why. He didn't feel tired, but he didn't feel like rushing anywhere either. His mind kept replaying the old man's words on the train. Show up for the moment. He took off his shoes, placed his bag down, and sat on the couch without turning on the TV or the lights. The room was quiet, almost peaceful. A soft evening light came through the window, painting golden lines on the floor. For the first time in a very long time, Daniel noticed how calm his own home could be. Not loud, not busy, just quiet, just his space. He leaned back and closed his eyes. He remembered the old man's voice, steady, soft, wise. He wondered who he was, where he was going, what stories he carried. Strange how a stranger could feel so familiar. After a few minutes, Daniel opened his eyes and reached for something he hadn't touched in years, an old wooden box sitting on a shelf, covered in dust. He stared at it for a moment, unsure why he felt drawn to it. Inside the box were old photos, letters, and small memories from his childhood. Things he had kept but forgotten. Things he once loved. He opened the box slowly. A soft smell came out: old paper, dried ink, and time. He smiled without meaning to. The first thing he picked up was a photo. He was maybe 8 years old, standing in a field with messy hair and a huge smile. His mother stood beside him, holding his hand. They both looked happy, real, pure, simple happiness. No rush. No pressure. Just sunshine and laughter. He stared at the photo for a long time. He whispered, "I used to smile like that." It felt like a memory from another life. Under the photo, he found something he had completely forgotten about, a letter from his mother. It was written many years ago, before she passed away. The envelope was soft and yellow, the ink slightly faded. His hands trembled a little as he opened it. He unfolded the paper slowly, almost afraid it might break. Then he began to read. "My dear Daniel, if you are reading this someday, I want you to remember something important. Life is not a race. Life is a collection of moments, small, beautiful moments. Don't miss them. Don't run past them. Look around. Listen. Feel. Be present. Because the things that really matter are often quiet. They speak softly, and only the heart can hear them." Daniel stopped reading. His eyes burned. His chest felt tight. He breathed slowly, trying not to cry, but the tears still came. They were silent but warm, rolling down his face without permission. He continued reading. "I hope you grow kind. I hope you grow patient. I hope you grow strong, but not too strong to forget love. Wherever you go, whatever you do, never forget to look at the sky, never forget to breathe, and never forget the people who love you. You're enough, my son. More than enough. Daniel held the letter close to his chest. He whispered, voice shaking, I forgot. Mom, I'm sorry. I forgot. The room felt full of memories, full of love, full of things he had pushed away for years. He realized how far he had drifted from the person he used to be, from the simple boy smiling in the field, from the small joys he once understood, from the lessons his mother tried to teach him. He looked around the room. Nothing had changed, but he had. He sat there for a long time, reading the letter again and again. Each sentence touched him like a gentle hand, reminding him of the man he wanted to be. Not perfect, not busy, not lost, just present. Outside, the sky slowly turned dark. Streetlights began to glow. The world continued moving, fast as always. But inside that room, Daniel felt something slow down, something shift, something open. He placed the letter on the table carefully, like it was something fragile and precious. Then he whispered, maybe it's time to change. He didn't know what that meant yet. He didn't know where to start. But he felt a small, clear truth in his heart, a truth he hadn't felt in years. He didn't want to live on autopilot anymore. He didn't want to run blindly. He wanted to show up. He wanted to see life again, really see it. And he didn't need a big plan. He just needed one step. One moment at a time. The noise of the mind. When I think about the idea of focusing on what really matters, I always remember one simple moment from my own life. It was not a big moment. It was not dramatic or exciting. But it changed me quietly, like a soft voice in a loud room, and maybe it will help you too. One day, I was sitting in a small park after a long, tiring week. My head was full of worries, full of plans, full of noise. Have you ever felt that kind of noise inside your mind? The kind of noise that does not come from people or cars or phones, but from your own thoughts? I sat on that bench with my phone in my hand, but I felt tired of everything. I felt tired of checking messages. I felt tired of remembering who to call, what to finish, what to fix. I felt tired of wanting too many things at the same time. So, I just put my phone in my pocket and looked around. At first, my mind was still full of noise. Thoughts were jumping from place to place like small birds, never sitting still. But then, something happened. I noticed a tiny leaf moving gently on the ground. I noticed the sound of wind touching the trees. I noticed a small child laughing far away. And slowly, the noise inside my mind became quiet. Not all at once. Not quickly. But little by little, like a room getting darker when the sun slowly goes down. That moment taught me something simple. Sometimes we don't need more things. We don't need more goals, more plans, more pressure. Sometimes what we really need is space. Space inside our mind. Space to breathe. Space to hear our own heart. And when we have that space, when the noise becomes softer, we can finally see what is important. So I want to ask you today, gently and honestly, what noise is filling your mind right now? Is it worry? Is it pressure? Is it fear that you are not doing enough? Is it stress about the future? Or maybe it is the constant feeling that you must do more to be good enough. These things feel heavy. They make your thoughts jump around. They make your heart feel tired. But the truth is, you do not have to fix everything at once. You do not have to follow every idea that comes into your head. You do not have to chase every goal people tell you to chase. You can choose. You can choose what you want to give your time to. You can choose what you want to focus on. You can choose which things truly matter to you. And this is important for your English learning too. When your mind is full of stress, learning becomes difficult. When you feel pressure to be perfect, you lose motivation. But when you calm your thoughts, when you breathe slowly, when you allow your mind to quiet down, learning becomes easier. Listening feels natural. Speaking becomes smoother. Understanding becomes clear. So in this moment, I want you to imagine yourself sitting in that quiet park with me. You close your eyes. You feel the wind. You hear soft sounds. And slowly, the noise inside your mind becomes lighter. In this moment, you begin to see what is important. You begin to feel what matters. And maybe you tell yourself, yes, I want to focus on things that make me feel alive, not things that make me feel small or stressed. You can choose peace. You can choose clarity. And that is the beginning of focusing on what really matters in your life and in your English journey. It starts with a quiet mind, the weight you don't need to carry. Sometimes in life, we carry things that are too heavy for us. Not physical things, but emotional things. Invisible things. Things that people cannot see on our shoulders, but we feel them every single day. Maybe you know this feeling too. Maybe you wake up in the morning and you already feel tired, not because your body is weak, but because your heart is full of pressure. You try to do everything right. You try to work hard. You try to be strong. You try to make people happy. But deep inside, you feel like you are carrying too much. And the strange thing is, many of these things we don't even need to carry. We just hold them because we are used to them. One time, I met a man in a small cafe. He was sitting alone with a notebook in front of him. He looked tired, but there was something gentle about him. I sat near him, and we started talking. He told me something I never forgot. He said, I used to carry so many things, so many worries, so many expectations, but one day I asked myself, who told me I must carry all of this? His question surprised me. I never thought about it before. Who tells us we must carry everything? Who tells us we must be perfect? Who tells us we must do everything without rest? Sometimes it is no one. Sometimes it is just us. Our own mind. Our own fear. Our own belief that we must prove something to the world. But the truth is simple. You do not need to carry everything. You can put things down. You can choose which weight is yours and which weight is not. In the cafe, that man opened his notebook and showed me a page. On the top, he had written 3 simple sentences. I cannot control everything. I do not need to fix everything. I am allowed to rest. When I read those lines, I felt something deep inside me. It felt like someone opened a window in a room with no air. And maybe you need that window too. Maybe you need someone to tell you that it is okay to stop carrying things that do not belong to you. It is okay to let go of old mistakes. It is okay to step away from people who make you feel small. It is okay to rest without feeling guilty. And you know what? When you put down the weight inside your mind, your English learning becomes lighter too. Your thoughts become clear. Your focus becomes stronger. Your motivation becomes softer but deeper. You no longer study because you feel pressure. You study because you want to grow, because you want to understand, because you want to express yourself. So right now, I want you to imagine something simple. Imagine you are standing in a quiet room. In your hands, you are holding a heavy bag. Inside this bag are your worries, your fears, your stress, your guilt, your mistakes, your pressure. The bag is heavy. Too heavy. Now imagine slowly putting that bag on the floor. Feel the weight leave your hands. Feel your shoulders become lighter. Feel your breath become deeper. You are not weak for letting go. You are strong for choosing peace. And when you are lighter, you can finally see what really matters. You can walk forward with more energy. You can learn with more joy. You can live with more clarity. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply put the weight down. The day everything felt too much. There was a day in my life when everything felt too heavy. Not because something terrible happened, but because many small things came together at the same time. Maybe you know this feeling too. A normal day, but somehow, I forgot something at home. I felt behind before the day even started. And once that feeling begins, it grows. Every little problem feels bigger. Every small noise feels louder. Every simple task feels difficult. I went to work, but my mind was full of pressure. I kept thinking, I must do this. I must finish that. I must not make mistakes. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted everything to go smoothly. But the more I tried, the more I felt tired. At lunchtime, I sat alone. I didn't feel hungry. I didn't feel excited. I just felt full. Full of stress. Full of thoughts. Full of things I didn't know how to control. And then something small happened. A woman at the table next to me dropped her spoon. It hit the floor softly. But in my mind, it sounded like a loud crash. I felt my heart jump. And that's when I realized something important. I was not tired of the day. I was tired of carrying too much inside me. I closed my eyes for a moment. I breathed slowly. And I asked myself a question I never asked before. What actually matters today? Not what people expect from me. Not what I fear. Not what I imagine. But what truly matters. What is real? What is important? And when I asked that question, the answer was surprisingly simple. What mattered was taking one small step. Not 10 steps. Not everything. Just one. So I decided to focus on finishing one small task. Only one. And when I finished it, I felt a little better. Then I completed one more. And something changed. The day did not change. The problems did not disappear. But my mind became calmer. My focus became stronger. And everything felt easier. Sometimes when life feels too much, it doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are human. Sometimes your brain needs rest. Sometimes your heart needs space. Sometimes your mind needs you to stop, breathe, and choose one small thing to focus on. And this idea can help in your English journey too. Maybe some days you cannot study for 1 hour. Maybe some days you feel tired or confused. Maybe some days you feel like your English is not improving. And that's okay. You don't have to be perfect every day. You don't have to understand everything at once. You don't have to learn fast. You can choose one small thing, one short practice, one easy lesson, one new word, one simple sentence. And that is enough. Progress does not always look big. Sometimes progress looks like taking a deep breath and trying again tomorrow. So if today feels heavy for you, please remember this. You are not alone. You are doing your best. And you are allowed to take things slowly. You are allowed to focus on one small thing at a time. Because small steps, done with love and patience, create big change over time. And when you take life one step at a time, suddenly, everything feels possible again. The moment you start living slower. There is a special moment in life that many people do not notice. It is the moment when you stop rushing. The moment when you decide to live a little slower. Not because you are lazy. Not because you don't care. But because you finally understand that life feels better when you stop running all the time. I remember the first time this happened to me. I was walking home one evening after a very long and stressful day. The sky was turning orange. People were moving fast, like they were all trying to reach somewhere before it was too late. I was one of them. Walking fast, thinking fast, breathing fast. My mind felt like a crowded bus full of noise, full of thoughts, full of worries. Then something surprising happened. My shoelace came undone. I had to stop walking. I had to bend down. I had to tie my shoe. It was such a small thing, but in that moment, everything around me slowed down. Cars passed by. People walked past me. But for a few seconds, I was completely still. Completely quiet. Completely present. And I felt something simple but powerful, peace. When I stood up again, I started walking slower than before. I looked around. I noticed the way the wind moved through the trees. I noticed a woman smiling at her child. I noticed the soft sound of evening life. I realized how many beautiful moments I had missed simply because I always walked too fast. And it made me wonder, how many good things do we lose because we are rushing? How many small joys do we ignore because we are busy? How many peaceful moments do we skip because we think we must always move quickly? In that slow walk, I learned something important. When you slow down, even a little, your life becomes clearer. You start to feel your own thoughts. You start to hear your own heart. You start to notice what truly matters. And this idea is very important for your English learning too. Many learners rush. They want fast results. They want to speak perfectly. They want to understand everything immediately. And when they cannot, they feel frustrated. They feel disappointed. They feel like giving up. But English learning is not a race. It is a slow walk, a calm journey, a gentle process. And when you slow down, when you enjoy the small steps, you learn better. You remember more. You speak more naturally. You feel more confident. So let me ask you something softly. When was the last time you slowed down? When was the last time you took a deep breath and felt the air fill your lungs? When was the last time you looked around and actually saw the world instead of just passing through it? Maybe today can be that day. Maybe this moment, right now, is your reminder to slow down. You do not have to hurry. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to compare yourself to others. You can walk at your own pace. You can learn at your own speed. You can grow in your own time. And when you choose to live slower, even for a few minutes each day, life feels softer, clearer, kinder. Because when you slow down, you finally notice what truly matters. And that is the beginning of a more peaceful life and a more confident English journey. The things you can control. There is a moment in everyone's life when they finally understand something important. You cannot control everything. And maybe you already know this, but sometimes we forget. Sometimes we try so hard to control every part of our day, every situation, every feeling, every person around us. And when things do not go the way we expect, we feel stress. We feel frustration. We feel lost. I want to tell you a small story about this. One morning, I woke up early with a long list of things to do. I wanted the day to be perfect. I wanted everything to go smoothly. I planned every hour. I planned every task. But life had a different idea. When I stepped outside, it began to rain. Not a soft, gentle rain, no. It was heavy, strong, fast rain. The kind that soaks your clothes in seconds. I didn't have an umbrella with me. I didn't have time to go back home. And as I stood there, getting wet, watching the rain pour down, I felt something inside me break. I felt angry. I felt stressed. I felt like the day was already ruined. And then, something strange happened. A small boy standing near a shop roof looked at the rain, smiled, and started jumping in the puddles. He didn't care about the weather. He didn't care about the mess. He didn't try to fight the rain. He simply accepted it. And when I saw him, I realized something simple. The rain was not the problem. My reaction was the problem. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted everything to go my way. But the world does not work like that. The weather changes. People change. Plans change. Life changes. And I cannot control all of it. But I can control how I respond. I can control my attitude. I can control my thoughts. I can control the meaning I give to each moment. So I took a deep breath. Instead of fighting the rain, I just walked through it. Slowly. Calmly. And to my surprise, it felt good. The rain felt cool on my skin. The world felt fresh. The moment felt peaceful. It was not the day I planned, but it became a day I needed. And from that moment, I started focusing on what I can control and letting go of what I cannot. You can do the same. You cannot control how people think of you, but you can control how you think of yourself. You cannot control how fast you learn English, but you can control how often you practice. You cannot control everything that happens tomorrow, but you can control what you do today. You cannot control every problem, but you can control your effort, your patience, your mindset. Life becomes easier when you stop fighting what you cannot change. Life becomes lighter when you stop carrying things you don't need. Life becomes clearer when you focus on what you can control. And this is one of the most powerful ways to understand what really matters. Because when you give your time, your energy, your heart to things you can control, you grow. You become stronger. You become calmer. You become more confident. So let me ask you gently, what are you trying to control that you don't need to? What can you let go of today? What can you choose to focus on instead? The answer may be small. It may be simple. But sometimes, the smallest shift changes everything. When you focus on what you can control, your life becomes more peaceful and your English journey becomes more enjoyable. And slowly, step by step, you start creating a life that feels meaningful, not because everything is perfect, but because you are choosing what truly matters. When you finally hear yourself, there is a moment in life when you stop listening to the world and you start listening to yourself. And this moment is gentle, quiet, easy to miss. But when it happens, everything begins to change. I remember the first time this happened to me. I was sitting on the balcony one night after a long day. The sky was dark. The city was full of lights. Cars were moving. People were talking. Life was noisy. But inside me, something felt silent. Not empty, just quiet. I didn't play music. I didn't scroll my phone. I didn't talk to anyone. I just sat there and listened. And for the first time in a long time, I heard my own thoughts clearly. Not the thoughts of fear. Not the thoughts of pressure. Not the thoughts of other people's expectations. But my own voice. The soft voice inside me that I had ignored for years. The voice that said, slow down. You don't have to rush. You don't have to do everything. Just be here. It felt strange, but in a good way. Almost like meeting an old friend again after a long time. And I realized something important. Most of us listen to too many voices every day. Voices of people telling us what to do. Voices of society telling us who to be. Voices of fear telling us what we cannot do. Voices of comparison telling us we are not good enough. But we rarely listen to our own true voice. The voice that knows what we love. The voice that knows what we need. The voice that knows what really matters. When you finally hear that voice, your life becomes simpler. You stop chasing things that are not for you. You stop worrying about things that are not important. You stop trying to be someone you are not. And you begin to choose. You choose peace over pressure. You choose clarity over confusion. You choose yourself over noise. And this idea is important for your English journey too. Many learners compare themselves to others. They say, my English is not fast enough. My accent is not good enough. My grammar is not perfect. They listen to too many outside voices. But your English journey is personal. Your English voice is unique. Only you know the pace that feels right. Only you know the topics that inspire you. Only you know the way you want to express yourself. And when you listen to yourself, you become a better learner. You feel more relaxed. You feel more motivated. You feel more confident. Because you are no longer trying to copy someone else. You are following your own path. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine you are sitting in a quiet room. There are no phones, no noise, no people, just you. And in that silence, you ask yourself softly, what do I really want? Maybe the answer is rest. Maybe the answer is courage. Maybe the answer is clarity. Maybe the answer is a new beginning. Whatever the answer is, trust it. It comes from a deep place inside you. A true place. A peaceful place. A place that always knows the way. And when you listen to that place, life becomes lighter. Choices become easier. Dreams become clearer. The world becomes calmer. Because you are no longer living by noise. You are living by truth. And little by little, you start focusing only on things that matter. things that help you grow, things that make you feel alive, things that bring meaning to your days. So tonight, or maybe right now, give yourself a few minutes of quiet. Sit still. Breathe slowly. Listen to your heart. And when your inner voice finally speaks, don't ignore it. Don't push it away. Don't be afraid of it. It is guiding you. It is helping you. It is leading you toward the life you want. And the more you listen to yourself, the more you will understand what really matters. Not in the world, but in your world. The power of saying no. There comes a time in life when you finally understand that one small word can completely change the way you live. And that word is no. For many years, I said yes to everything. I said yes even when I was tired. I said yes even when I didn't want to. I said yes because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I said yes because I wanted to be helpful. I said yes because I thought it made me a good person. But slowly, I began to feel something heavy in my heart. I felt like my days did not belong to me anymore. I felt like I was living for others instead of living for myself. Maybe you know this feeling too. Maybe people ask you for help. Maybe they ask for your time, your energy, your attention. And you say yes because you care. You say yes because you don't want anyone to feel upset. You say yes because it feels easier than saying no. But inside, you feel tired. Inside, you feel stressed. Inside, you feel like you are losing yourself. One day, a friend invited me to a party. It was on a day when I was already exhausted. I wanted to rest. I wanted to relax. I wanted a quiet evening. But as always, the word yes was ready on my tongue. I almost said it. But then, without thinking too much, I said, I'm sorry, but no. I need to rest today. When I said that word, I felt something strange. I felt scared. I felt guilty. I felt like I did something wrong. But then my friend smiled and said, of course. Take care of yourself. Maybe next time. And just like that, I realized something powerful. People who care about you will understand. People who respect you will not be angry. People who value you will not leave you. Saying no did not break anything. It fixed something. It fixed my relationship with myself. That was the day I understood that no is not a bad word. It is not rude. It is not selfish. Sometimes no is a gift to your own heart. A gift to your time. A gift to your peace. And when you say no to what does not matter, you make space to say yes to what truly matters. You make space for your health. You make space for your dreams. You make space for your English learning. You make space for your happiness. Many English learners say yes to everything except themselves. They say yes to work. Yes to stress. Yes to responsibilities. But they say no to time for learning. No to practice. No to small daily improvements. And then they feel frustrated because they do not see progress. But the truth is simple. You need to say yes to yourself more often. You need to make time for things that help you grow. You need to give space to your personal goals. Even if it is small. Even if it is just 10 minutes a day. Even if it is just listening to a short story or practicing a few sentences. When you choose yourself, your life changes. When you choose rest instead of pressure, you become stronger. When you choose clarity instead of noise, you become wiser. And when you choose your own path, your English journey becomes smoother and more enjoyable. I want you to imagine something right now. Imagine you are holding a small key in your hand. This key is simple, small, quiet, but powerful. It opens the door to your own peace. And on this key, one small word is written. The word is no, not because you want to close your heart. Not because you want to push people away. But because you want to protect your time, your energy, your dreams. You are not here to live everyone else's life. You are here to live your own. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is say no to the world and yes to yourself. When you start using that power, your days feel lighter. Your mind feels clearer. Your heart feels stronger. And you finally begin to focus on what really matters. The beauty of doing one thing at a time. There is a simple habit that can completely change your life. It can make your days calmer. It can make your mind clearer. It can make your English learning easier. And the habit is this: doing only one thing at a time. It sounds simple, right? But in today's world, it is one of the hardest things to do. We live in a time when everyone is trying to do many things at once. People eat while checking their phones. They walk while answering messages. They listen to music while trying to study. They start one task and jump to another before finishing the first. Every moment feels full. Every second feels busy. But inside, the mind feels tired. One day, I was working at a cafe. I had my laptop open, my phone beside me, a notebook on the table. A message notification popped up, then an email, then a thought. Oh, I forgot to do this. I should do it now. I tried to write something important, but my mind kept jumping everywhere. I felt productive, but I wasn't. I felt busy, but I wasn't moving forward. I felt active, but inside, I felt lost. So I closed my laptop. I put my phone away. I took a deep breath. And I decided to do only one thing: finish one paragraph. Just one. And suddenly, the noise in my mind became quiet. The world slowed down. My thoughts became focused. My work felt easier. And I learned something important. Your mind becomes powerful when you give it one task, not 10. When you do one thing at a time, everything feels different. You feel calmer. You feel lighter. You feel more in control. And life becomes more peaceful. Now think about your English learning. Maybe sometimes you try to do everything at once. You want to learn speaking, listening, reading, writing, grammar, vocabulary, all at the same time. You want to watch videos, read books, take notes, memorize words. And you feel overwhelmed. You feel tired. You feel confused. But English becomes easier when you choose just one thing. One small step. One simple practice. Maybe today you only listen. Maybe tomorrow you only practice speaking. Maybe the next day you only learn 5 new words. When you focus on one thing at a time, your brain learns faster. Your understanding becomes deeper. Your confidence becomes stronger. And slowly, you begin to enjoy the process. I want you to imagine something. Imagine you are standing in a quiet garden. In front of you, there are many paths. Some go left, some go right, some go forward. All of them look interesting. All of them look important. But you cannot walk all the paths at the same time. You cannot take every direction at once. So you choose one path. A calm, simple path. And as you walk on this one path, you notice the flowers, the trees, the sky, your footsteps, your breathing. You enjoy the journey because you are not rushing. You are not confused. You are not divided. You are focused. And that focus gives you peace. This is what life feels like when you choose one thing at a time. This is what English learning feels like when you stop trying to do everything at once. You move slower, but you move better. You learn less at once, but you learn more deeply. You do fewer things, but you enjoy each one. And slowly, gently, your life becomes simpler, more meaningful, more beautiful. Because when you focus on one thing at a time, you finally see what really matters in that moment. And sometimes that moment is all you need.